Whether you are for or against DACA, as a concerned citizen, the reality is that these children are going to be raised in our neighborhood. Now, we all live in the beautiful and affluent sections of Huntington Beach, and let's face it, we enjoy the scenic benefits, but it doesn't mean that we can ignore the Oakwood community, commonly known as the Slater slums. Now, most of us have never even realized that we have a barrio right in our community. And believe it or not, the elementary school in this barrio is located right across the street from a garbage dump. So you may be thinking, well, so what? Who cares? Well, it turns out that many local citizens do care, and they're making a choice whether they want the children to develop into solid and successful citizens or gang members. One of them is Anthony Gonzalez, a former American football tight end and an actor who played 17 seasons in the National Football League and is a current analyst on Fox's NFL's pregame show. Tony Gonzalez, a Huntington Beach High School graduate, is a 14-time Pro Bowl selection, and he currently holds the NFL record for total receiving yards of over 15,000. He and his wife, October, have joined forces with Colleen Menzel to support an amazing private initiative called Scholars Hope. A group of our team organization under the leadership of past President Cheryl Coleman went on a field trip to experience firsthand the success that this grossly underfunded organization is having. The trip began as our small group finished lunch at Mario's, which was sponsored by Eagle Home Mortgage. We traveled by a small van chartered by Cheryl Coleman and driven by her effervescent husband, Tommy. So, Tommy, how'd you get the job of driving?
No one else wanted it.
The drive through the Slater slums was a culture shock to all of us, to say the least. However peaceful the streets appeared, the students faced the harassment and violence of gang members on a regular basis. When we arrived at Ocean View High School, the CEO, Colleen Menzel, welcomed us and took us inside for a short briefing.
This is just kind of our approach, what we do. On the back side of here is some very interesting data. Is this chart on the bottom? And you'll see it's actually actual data that comes from the government. And it talks about educational attainment of kids in Orange County, kids in LA County, and our kids. We're smoking them. So, you look at language arts and math, high school graduation rates. If you just even compare us just to Orange County, we're doing fabulous things.
And Scholars Hope is doing all this with a minuscule budget.
We do so much, and our budget is less than $1 million. You compare us to Think Together, their budget is $86 million. The Wooden Floor's got a $14 million budget. Boys and Girls Club, their budget is enormous. And yet we're able to do so much more with much less. All of our students currently, we have 156 students that come every week to us, and every one of those students has an individual one-on-one look in your eye with one of our staff. I have 5 staff.
Colleen continued with her briefing to us.
One of our major focuses, of course, we are judged always on the academic outcomes. Where are those kids going to college, and that, which is important to us. But what's really more important are their social emotional skills. All in the news right now, it's very sensationalized. We've got all the shootings, things like that going on. And our umbrella are the social emotional skills that people in the workforce today are really finding kids don't have. They graduate from college and hit up against any kind of little road bump and they want to give up. Kids aren't actually finishing college because they don't have the persistence. So you hear the term grit, all those kinds of things. We start with the kids really right from the beginning and try to instill those. So that's our umbrella. And we find that when that's in place, the academics just really follow.
Our group had a chance to ask many questions during the briefing, one of which was why Scholars Hope was so successful and has a 100% high school graduation rate, and many of the students are now in college.
The number one is the personal touch. You can't get away from that. That one-on-one experience, and that's really come out of our evaluation, is having a trusted adult that can take a child through an issue and then have someone as a sounding board to sit down and talk to them about that and, reevaluate what happened is priceless. So that's really the number one piece. The other piece is that we put the social emotional on top. Most organizations don't like to touch it because it's very difficult to measure. If you're going to go into evaluation, how do you measure how happy a child is, or how satisfied? And we really decided that we weren't going to let that deter us, because all the data points to this is extremely important. And I think our other is that we've got a very strong partnership with this school district. Huntington Beach Unified has just bent over backwards to give us a space. Before we actually had this classroom, we were itinerant. So I used to have to go, and Erica, it was fun, go to schools and kind of beg for a classroom after school. And so you're using another teacher's room, and you'd be surprised how difficult that was.
But one of the biggest reasons for their success was parent involvement.
For one, when students come on, we have a contract. And part of that is parent involvement. One, just on the student side, making sure that your student is here every day, that they've got a quiet space to do their homework. And if they don't have that you're going to take them to the library, whatever that is. The other thing we do is we educate our parents on how to use technology, how to set up an email address, how to actually go on to the student portal and check your students' grades. Make sure that they're showing up in class. Those are really important pieces that even middle-class parents don't do.
As we visited with the students, you could just feel the emotion of seeing these engaged children that were literally on fire about learning and achieving.
What they're doing here is amazing. To have 100% success rate really says a lot, because they're only right now able to see these kids 2 hours a week. Just imagine if they could see the kids 4 hours or 6 hours or twice a week. That would be even more wonderful, and all they need are funds to be able to do that.
What impressed me most is the criteria that they're using, this personal contact, one-on-one. I was amazed that they have 160 students and they have only 5 full-time instructors and employees. It's the social and the emotional element that impresses me the most.
So I was impressed that their budget was under the $1 million, and they have 5 full-time staff teachers and probably some of the other staff administration, and they invite more and more kids, and that the kids commit for several years, for 10 years, and they do invite volunteers, so they involve the community, so really do good work, because the education is the key, and kids are so taken care of, and it's a really nice atmosphere, and they've got a snack time, and they're really interactive, and you can feel there is kindness and openness, so I think it's wonderful.
I think this is great, especially that they've got a place here at the school that they can be at permanently. And listening to kids, it looks like all the ones that are in there really enjoy what they're doing. The teachers get really involved with them, and it sounds like from what we've heard that they're really learning. And I like the idea that they kind of take a different approach to learning, trying to make it fun after the kids have been in school all day. Then they come over here, and it really seems like they all are getting a lot out of it.
This has been an absolutely amazing experience, because I can personally relate to this. I was 10 years old when we came to this country, and at that time programs like this were not available. I was just placed into a classroom. I was in 5th grade, classroom, and I sat there, did not understand a single word. Teacher did not know how to speak my language either, and I would sit and my tears would come down and I would wait for 3 o'clock. So to see these children being able to learn and being able to get the extra help that they need with every subject is just absolutely incredible.
The return to Mario's was stimulating, and as you heard from some of our team members, myself included, we want to be involved as part of our charitable outreach. So in conclusion, our thanks to Colleen Menzel and her dedicated staff, the Cheryl Coleman team, Eagle Home Mortgage, and all of the team members who invested an afternoon to experience Scholars Hope. In an unprecedented era of national and political divisiveness, it gives us all great hope that concerned citizens and corporate sponsors uniting their efforts can make a huge difference.